Here we go, Lone Rider. This one's a bit of a
spicy brew, and there's one of the ways to pump it. That's one of the questions I always had when I saw this card.
Here we go. It's already a 3/3. Does Lone Rider have any other keywords?
Let's find out.
Let's bring that one up on the stream.
Okay. The Lone Rider. So
it has First Strike and Lifelink. Oh, so not only is it huge and scary, but it can also flip itself now.
It can.
And on the other side, it gets Trample as well.
Yeah, the other side of it is quite scary.
Prime position for Odric and friends to be.
Yeah, it gets a lot of keywords.
Yep. Unfortunately, Ben has just played a Archangel of Tithes.
This makes attacking difficult, I've heard.
Yes, very difficult. However, here we see one of the few reasons Colin is playing black. He's playing Anguished Unmaking. Removing that Archangel so that he can get in with the Lone Rider so that he can flip it at the end of the turn. And here he goes. He goes for the attack.
Okay, and so... Okay, getting that Archangel out of the way was a pretty big game.
Yep. He totally negates the life lost from Anguished Unmaking with that attack.
Oh wow. Gains a 3, and he's got a trigger to remember at this point, I believe.
Yep.
Okay, and there it is. Here it flips. What's it called again on the outside? Hit that rides alone.
Hit that rides alone. It rides as one. There we go.
As one.
We were close. Okay,
and
which is now a 6/6, I believe. 6/6 First Strike Lifelink Trample.
Wow. Okay, so
I feel like at this point he's going to be a Declaration in Stone or Bust from Ben.
Yeah, this is pretty hard to fight through. I have not faced this in Constructed. I have faced it in Limited, and it has been devastating. I imagine it's not too different with a creature like this.
Particularly now it's got Trample. Before, at least, he could maybe go around it by maybe pumping out enough dudes. But even I thought he was going to fall behind in the... Colin was going to fall behind in the hand with Captain Race, but...
Yep, and there's the centerpiece there, the key piece of the puzzle. So we've just got Odric himself. Let's quickly have a look at that card.
Oh, except here we are. Not Declaration in Stone, but in fact, Stasis Snare.
Stasis Snare comes down. Okay, so this is pretty big. So if Ben had that Stasis Snare in hand, that means he's still got that Quarantine Field, I think, in his hand.
Yes, and it also means
could be very powerful.
I believe Colin has missed his Thalia's Lieutenant trigger.
On Odric, he has. Okay, yeah.
Which is, otherwise he would have been able to swing in there.
With the Lieutenant itself.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Though, is the Lieutenant really worth...
Well, was Ben tapped out at that point?
No, he had 2 mana up, but I don't know whether Ben has anything in his list that's...
There's an Immolating Glare in Ben's list. I'm unsure. Maybe Colin saw that in game 1 and opted not to do that. But it does look like he forgot the trigger anyway, so maybe the reason he didn't attack was because it was just a 2/2.
Yep.
Okay, so
Colin's down to 2 cards in hand. Well, Ben's got 3. Oh, and here it is, another Archangel.
Okay, does Colin have the answer this time?
Let's have a look.
Militia Captain's kind of just been sitting there not doing too much this game.
Yeah, on both sides. And we have
another one.
The reply.
Okay.
However, Colin's is bigger.
It's true, it is, and it has Vigilance forever now. So let's quickly have a look at what it does.
So it's
the Archangel of Tides. Let's have a quick look.
So it's the flying 3/5/4 with, as long as Archangel of Tithes is untapped, creatures can't attack you or planeswalker you control unless their controller pays 1 for each of those creatures.
Okay.
As well as long as Archangel of Tithes is attacking, creatures can't block this turn unless the controller pays 1 for each of those creatures.
Wow, so he gets the best of both worlds now. So he gets a 4/6 Flying Angel that is going to be tying up Ben's mana.
So Ben's played out his Knight of the White Orchid, unfortunately not getting any planes because He's ahead on mana at that point. Aha.
Yeah,
Colin...
but with this sort of board state, I think like this looks like a pretty low to the ground sort of deck. The mana is probably not all downside.
Yep. They've been helping out Colin with his triggers.
Yep. Useful.
Yep. So his dudes are pretty big at this point.
Yeah, and Colin is leading quite firmly.
Except we have a Stasis Snare.
Second Stasis Snare.
Taking the Odric off the board. No friends were had this day.
No. All the Stasis Snares were, though.
Unfortunately, it means that Ben cannot block if Colin chooses to attack here because he's tapped out.
Well, remember we noted that Ben does have that quarantine field in his hand, and with this land drop, I think he can exile 2 creatures now.
Ooh.
Which is pretty big game, and it would let him start maybe getting in for some damage here. Because his life total's not too bad.
Except here we go, Thalia's...
Ooh, maybe setting up
Thalia herself, actually, not Thalia's lieutenant.
Oh, Thalia herself. Okay.
Now she makes it so Colin's creatures enter tapped, as well as any non-basic lands he might be playing.
Okay, so he's really slow rolling this quarantine field. He's obviously valuing the card very highly. Yep. Why do you think he's doing that?
Well, one of the advantages he gets here is that the Hand Weird captain can flip his next turn if he plays out Thalia. Whereas if he plays the quarantine field, he still gives Colin that bit extra time to catch up before he really gets going with his board.
Yeah, okay. So, unless Colin can remove a creature here, the captain's flipping. Is that correct?
That does seem to be the case.
Okay.
Here we go. Colin's creature's getting bigger again.
Okay, that is a thing. But again, with the quarantine field, it's not that big a deal. So, it's a bit hard to see, but I think that's 2 counters.
So there should be 3 on one and 2 on the other, I believe.
Okay. So just a quick look at that again. So the beginning of your upkeep. So it looks like Ben is going to get flipped the Handworm Militia Captain.
Yep. And unless Ben deals with Colin's is going to do the same. Though, as you said before, with that quarantine field in hand, I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem.
Yep. He's got. It looks like his next turn's going to be a pretty good one, unless Colin's got something else to do here. He's got 1 card in hand, not unsure what it is. So Colin passes the turn, and Ben is remembering his upkeep trigger. He flips it into the... I'm trying to remember the name.
It's a Cult Leader or something.
Yeah. Westvale Cult Leader, I believe. And there it is. Okay, so the Cult Leader's power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control. So right now it's a 4/4. That's not bad. And at his end step, he gets to put a 1/1 white and black human cleric creature token onto the battlefield. So this huge creature is going to keep getting even more huge, unless Colin can find something to do here.
Yep. And looks like he's considering whether he wants to use that quarantine field.
What would you do?
I feel like it's a pretty good play at this point.
Yeah, because you get an attack in.
The Angel out of the way, and maybe one of the probably the biggest lieutenant.
Yep, seems decent. So he's getting 2 counters on that. Let's just pull that card up for those watching at home. So there it is. So he's played 2 whites and then 4 mana.
You can get non-land permanents with it.
Oh wow! So he takes out
the always watching instead.
Okay, good play. What do you think? What do you think about that? Do you think it was more important to get the creatures out of the way, or?
I think it's probably more important to get the creatures out of the way at this point.
Ben might have a plan here.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think it's just a ticking clock before Ben is going to draw Westvale Abbey, at which point Colin's going to have a bad time.
Right, yes. And like he's got infinite chump blockers at this point, which is pretty huge. Like it doesn't matter. In many ways, it doesn't really matter what's happening here.
Ooh, here we go.
Paladar Sovereign.
Yes.
That is not a card I was expecting to
see. Told you there was some spicy brews here today. So Felidar Sovereign has you win the game if at the beginning of your upkeep you have 40 or more life. And with Odric and friends, you can gain a lot of life.
That's true. Wow. So he's decided this game might grind on a bit.
Yep.
I'm sure maybe he'd seen Ben gaining some life here or something, but pretty big effect.
Ben with the beats though.
Ben has his own always watching to follow up.
Yep.
Okay, so Colin's taking it all. So
for a huge number. So he's got
4, 8, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Colin
10,
can't
11.
block because he's all tapped out.
Right. So I think he just came in for 11 damage.
The life totals.
Wow, that's a massive, massive hit. So what does Colin need to find? What's he got in his deck that he could do
Colin's
here?
down to 1.
Wow. That was a huge attack. So, I think it was. So 4, 8.
Yeah.
14.
What can he get here?
Yeah, it looks like it was an attack for 17.
Does Odric get him out of this?
Well,
and is he going to remember his flip trigger? Ooh, he doesn't.
Uh-oh. He's drawn the card, missed the flip. I'm not sure how much of a difference it would have made, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess if he'd found Odric and a flying creature...
He's got a Declaration in Stone. So
it's not doing heaps here. Unfortunately, every creature on the battlefield is unique.
Yeah. Getting rid of the Archangel is pretty handy, though, because the flying is one of the big problems.
Mm-hmm.
He can swing in with his Sovereign to gain a little bit of life, get that buffer zone back up.
Yeah, I guess one of he'd be able to get rid of the Angel, get chumps in. But again, chumping is not a way to win this game, is it? Like, he just needs to find something else.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and call that we're going to a game 3 here. We'll see, but you always play to your outs, and that's what Colin's doing here as well. So
yep,
we do that, and he gets a clue, which he has the mana to be able to use this turn.
Yeah, if that plains in his hand was an Odric, he might have been able to swing back a bit,
gain a bit of life. That would have been pretty good. Yep.
But looks like
and missing that trigger on the militia captain is pretty painful here. He'd have an extra creature. What he needs at this point is exactly that.
Even swinging with the Felidar Sovereign here is bad because all you trade it for is a
Dahlia's Lieutenant.
Human token.
Right.
You just block with the big guy and a human token, and down goes the Sovereign.
That's true, because it is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/5 right now.
Yep.
So the Sovereign can't even kill it. Okay. So Ben's decision to take out that Always Watching may be paying off here.
Certainly seems like it.
So Colin's in a pickle. I think he's deciding whether to go to attacks or not.
Yep, and with Ben with that clue, he's going to get even more value out of this.
Yeah, so these pieces of enchantment removal are really...
Here we go, cracking the clue, as we expected.
I just missed what he drew there, but I feel like almost anything is just fine in this spot.
Yep.
And what are we seeing
there it is,
there's the West
the Abbey.
Okay, so...
That's really the icing on the cake for this one for Ben.
And Colin's got one-handed, and so I think Ben here will be considering whether or not it's likely that Colin's got something like Stasis Snare. He's got black mana, so
Anguish
Unmaking could also get rid of Ormondal.
Is it non-land?
I believe so.
Yes.
Anguish Unmaking might be one of the cards that could get Ben here, but yeah. I mean, it would end the game immediately if Ben did attack, but he does have to. He'd be sacking his entire board at the same time.
Yeah, I think Ben's going for the safer option of swinging in and trying to trade for some resources before
making any sort of rash plays. I guess the thing with
and if somehow he miscalculates and puts a particularly bad block out, he can just scoop up his board, I think. Does he have enough creatures?
I think there's only 3 creatures attacking here. I think he's holding back the clerics.
I think Ben only has 4 creatures at the moment.
I think he's got the 5. He's got 2
clerics.
2 clerics, yeah.
Okay.
So we've just got another card backwards to be the other one. Yeah. Well, I think that it looks like this is Ben's game to lose. So at this point, what he'd be trying to work out is not necessarily like, how do I win, but how do I lose the game?
Yeah, definitely.
And he's making the careful and probably correct play, I would say, in making sure that he doesn't just sacrifice his board and lose to 1 removal spell. Okay.
Ooh. What have we got?
So he has got... Wow! Archangel Avacyn. Alright.
Brutal.
Yep. That's not too bad here.
So really, it's only eating 1 card.
Yep, but he's now got a massive flyer on the board.
Yep.
And that was really interesting, because he could kind of, I guess, present as if he was keeping up Westvale Abbey mana or something like that. It's the power of flash creatures. you can sort of go into combat, represent all sorts of things, and he had so many options there because that creature has flash.
Yeah, definitely.
And he even gets a card out of it, so that's fantastic.
Colin does manage to squeak back a little bit of life back into the...
With the Sovereign. Yeah, so it's not game over.
Ooh, and we've got
Selfless
a Selfless Spirit.
Okay, that is actually...
Unfortunately, I think Colin's just dead on board. With Thalia bringing the Selfless Spirit into play tapped. Avacyn is a 5/5.
With flying, so that's all he needs.
Yep.
So it's something like a removal spell or nothing.
Yeah, I think that's that. Back to that Anguished Unmaking. But I'm pretty sure Colin has a Plains in his hand.
Powerful card.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going for it. Okay, so and what does he get? He gets to sack his 5 least impactful creatures. Make an Ormondale. Now he's got 2 flying threats.
He's playing around that potential Anguished Unmaking.
Yep.
2 lethal threats.
2 lethal threats. One card in hand. It's going to do it, Colin.
And there it is.
Puts the hand out. Okay.
That is the match.
There you go.
Ben wins 2-0.
Congratulations to Ben. Okay. It was well played. Well played by Ben. He was, again, making sure he didn't commit to anything too early. I mean, Colin never had the removal spell, but if he had, things would have been very different. So
yeah, definitely.
And that Thalia doing work, keeping that flying blocker out of the way and making sure he can get in for lethal damage.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Congratulations to Ben. And well played, Colin, for sure.
Yep. It'll be interesting to see how these decks play out over the course of the day.
Yep.
Since this is only round 2.
Yeah, so we've got today's tournament will have 5 rounds of Swiss, and then a cut to top 8, which will be featuring rounds from now on.